You're listening to
Catholic Sprout,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith.
Greetings, young Squire Sprouts. Today is the 22nd day in the 7th month in the year of our Lord 2023. My name is Sir Roland, and you're listening to Saturdays with Sir Roland on Catholic Sprouts, where every Saturday we discuss the art of dragon slaying. Today is the feast of St. Mary Magdalene. St. Mary Magdalene encountered Jesus when she was possessed by a dragon. Jesus healed her and set her free, and she became one of his most faithful followers all the way to the cross. Perhaps you have heard this about Mary Magdalene. She was one way, and then she was completely different, and the thing that happened in between was Jesus. Like Mary Magdalene, Jesus sets us free from dragons. Which brings us to our topic for today. We are in the middle of a discussion on the 5 steps to winning the battle against dragons. Step 1 was to know that you're in a battle against dragons. Step 2 is to get to know and study the dragons you are facing. And today we'll discuss step 3, which is to free yourself from all dragons. Before we can know how to be free, we must define what freedom means. Perhaps true freedom is different than what the world says or what you might think of when you imagine freedom. For example, we say we live in a free country, but what does that mean? Well, let me describe the life of 2 young boys. We'll call them Jimmy and Johnny, and you can tell me which boy you think sounds like he is free. Jimmy lives on a farm. His parents wake him up at 5 a.m. every morning to do chores. He has to milk the cows and collect eggs and rake stalls, all before eating breakfast at 6 a.m. Then he goes to school for the day. After school, he goes to basketball practice, which is required every day. Then at supper, he is expected to tell his parents about his day, and he has to finish all of his food, including his green beans, or he's not allowed to have any dessert or snacks that evening. After dinner, Jimmy must help clean up the kitchen. Jimmy likes to play video games, but he is limited to playing them 1 hour a week on Saturday mornings. Jimmy has 6 brothers and sisters, so he must wait his turn to use the restroom, and being the second youngest child, he must wear whatever clothes has been handed down from his older brothers. He has to sit on the floor during family movies. Speaking of movies, he can only watch what his parents approve of. He's also expected to play with his little sister and watch over her for an hour before bedtime, and he must be in bed by 9 p.m. every night. On Sundays, he is expected to wear his nicest clothes and attend Mass with his family. Now, in contrast, Johnny's parents don't have any rules that Jimmy's parents do. In fact, Johnny can play video games for hours on end. He can eat chocolate candy bars or potato chips anytime he wants. He can sleep in as long as he wants. Johnny doesn't have to go to school unless he feels like it, and he can stay up as late as he wishes. Johnny has no chores and doesn't have to go anywhere that he doesn't feel like going. Who would you say is more free, Jimmy or Johnny? You might be tempted to say Johnny is more free. After all, he can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, however he wants, and he has no rules that he has to follow. Dragons will tell you this is what it means to be free, just as the first dragon told Adam and Eve that they could do whatever they wanted to do, even eat of the forbidden fruit, and they would be happy. But true freedom is not about doing whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want. Ironically, that leads to slavery. What do you think will happen as Jimmy and Johnny grow up? Dragons will control everything Johnny does. Johnny will not be able to say no to the temptation to play video games, so he won't be able to accomplish anything meaningful. The yellow dragon will keep him on the couch all the time, too lazy and lethargic to get up for Mass or say his prayers. The green dragon will tempt him to buy more and more games that he has no money to buy because he's too lazy to work. The blue dragon will make him throw temper tantrums when he does not get what he wants. The indigo dragon will make him feel perpetually awful until he eats more of the junk food that he craves, which will make him feel even worse because his body will be unhealthy. The red dragon will make him selfish, and he won't be willing to do anything for anyone, and he'll demand and whine to get what he wants right away. Nobody will like being around him. You get the picture. The dragons lured him in with a false idea of freedom, and now he's a slave. On the other hand, Jimmy is learning every day the discipline it takes to grow in virtue. He's learning to make choices that make his body healthy and learning the great work ethic it takes to be the best dragon slayer he can be. He's learning to put others first and be obedient to his parents. He's growing in knowledge. He is free to serve God and serve others because he does not depend on food or games or pleasure to make him happy. True freedom is the ability to choose to do what is right in every situation and circumstance. True freedom is the ability to say yes to God, and you can't say yes to God until you learn to say no to dragons. You might think that the rules parents give, or the rules that God gives, or the rules that our Catholic Church gives, are meant to make you miserable, but that isn't true. All the people that love you want you to be truly happy and truly free. So how do you free yourself? By God's grace. The dragons like to put you in prison and lock the door so you can't get out by yourself. Jesus has the key. Jesus pays your bail. Jesus opens the door to the prison cell by dying on the cross and paying the price. Jesus has the cure to all your dragon wounds. You receive that medicine of healing through the sacrament of reconciliation or baptism, which sets you free from dragons. You receive the medicine of immortality in the Holy Eucharist, which sets you free even from death. You can follow those rules and train in virtue because a holy life is a life that sets you free to choose the saint inside of you. This week, I want you to reflect on the following passage about St. Paul. He called himself a slave for Christ. He suffered immensely and spent much time in an earthly prison, but nobody could take away his love for God and his desire for heaven. These are the words of a truly free man. I am still more, with far greater labors, far more imprisonments, far worse beatings, and numerous brushes with death. 5 times at the hands of the Jews I received 40 lashes minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I was shipwrecked. I passed a night and a day on the deep, on frequent journeys and dangers from rivers, dangers from robbers, dangers from my own race, dangers from Gentiles, dangers in the city, dangers in the wilderness, dangers at sea, dangers among false brothers. In toil and hardship, through many sleepless nights, through hunger and thirst, through frequent fastings, through cold and exposure. And apart from these things, there is the daily pressure upon me of my anxiety for all the churches. St. Paul can only endure all of that because he was free from the things of this world. Jesus had set him free, and who the Son sets free is free indeed. Come back next week, and we will learn how we can protect that freedom and live as free disciples of Jesus. And until next week, I'll leave you under the protection of St. Michael the Great Archangel, St. Joseph the Terror of Dragons, and Mary, Queen of the Angels, Our Lady of Grace, and the woman whose seed crushed the head of the dragon.
That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God created you to be.
Hey, parents and kids. Remember to check your Trading Guild emails for a fun challenge and an opportunity to win a free Dragon Slayers t-shirt. You can get the Trading Guild emails for free by registering at extraordinarymission.com/dragonslayers. Also, just a reminder, if you haven't already signed up to join me, Sir Roland, in the Be a Saints Kids Club at Catholic Sprouts this year, I highly recommend you get registered. And remember, listen to Catholic Sprouts every day, including Saturdays with Sir Roland.
This podcast is part of the Spoke Street Network. For more great podcasts, visit spokestreet.com.